Hello. In this video, I'm going to describe the workflow of an ETL integration developer for SAP HANA Cloud Integration for data services. The integration developer's job is to plan and then use HANA Cloud Integration to define how data is transformed as it is moved between locations. Let's begin by defining a couple of objects. Data stores. In order to move data, you first need to connect to your source, where your data is, and your target, where you want to move it to. A data store holds the information you need to connect HANA Cloud Integration with your data. Your data might be in an SAP application, a database, cloud application, file format, or web service. HANA Cloud Integration also uses a data store to access metadata about the data schema from the database or application. This information is used during design time. It's important to understand that HANA Cloud Integration does not save data in the data store. It only keeps the connection information and metadata. A data flow defines the movement and transformation of the data from one or more sources to a single target. Within a data flow, you use transforms to define the changes to the data that are required by the target. The data flow is the heart of the system. Once you understand it, you can add other elements to get to the big picture. The next object to mention is a task. A task is the element that HANA Cloud Integration executes at runtime. You can run tasks either on demand or scheduled. At the task level, you select the data stores that connect to your source and target systems. The task uses the data store connection information to read data from the source system and write it to the target system. A project is simply a container which groups related tasks. So now you have the pieces you'll be working with. Remember, data stores provide the connection. Data flows specify the details of what data should be moved and how it should be transformed. Tasks group data flows together and are the objects that get executed. In order to meet your business requirements, you may need several tasks to load all your data. Okay, Ms. or Mr. Integration Developer, you're ready to start. Let's consider an example. Let's say you have a business requirement to determine your top 10 best-selling products. Your mission is to move the sales data to your cloud-based sales analysis app so you can track your revenue by product. First, you'll need to do some planning. Ensure that the business specifications are clearly defined. This will help you understand your target structure. Identify technical connection information for your source and target data stores. In our example, this would be the sales database and the sales analysis application. Define your data mapping logic. In other words, what transformations, such as aggregation, filters, or groupings, need to occur. Find out if there are any predefined task templates available for your application. Templates are like molds or patterns. They provide a good starting point and are fully customizable. If your application does not already have templates, you will need to create your tasks and data flows from scratch. Develop a meaningful naming convention. Also, take a minute to log into your sandbox and make sure that your internal administrator has created an agent and data stores. By the time your planning phase is complete, you should know exactly what your target data will look like, what source data you'll need, and any modifications you plan to implement in the data flows. Once you have agreement from your stakeholders, you can get started in HANA Cloud Integration by creating a project. Let's call this Product Sales. Now, let's add a task to the project and call it Sales Revenue. In our planning, we identified the source and target data stores we will use. The target data store is Analysis App, and the source data store is called SalesDB. Finally, in the data flow, you define how the data is moved from source to target and any transformations that must occur. You always start to define a data flow by identifying its target object. In our example, we're moving the data to the revenue table, so that would be the target. Our target table requires the product name and total revenue columns. The product name column can be mapped directly from the source table to the revenue target table with no changes. but we'll have to combine columns and do a little math to get to the total revenue column in the target. This is where the data transformation occurs. Data flows can handle filters, joins, aggregation, nested data, and more. Next, you'll need to test and review your data. Validate your task and correct any syntax errors. Run the task. If it runs successfully, check the data in your target to make sure it meets your expectations. If your data isn't correct, you'll need to debug the data flow. You can use the Design Time Viewer to preview samples of your data at each step in the data flow. Best practice is to get your first data flow working as planned before you move on to the next data flow or task in your plan. Do them one at a time. Now that you understand the big picture, and after you've had a little practice, you may want to add flexibility and increase reuse by considering execution properties like scripts and global variables, and also by using data store configurations. When you're satisfied that your task is complete, request that your administrator promote the task to your production environment. We hope this video has helped you become familiar with the HANA Cloud Integration environment and what you need to do to move data using SAP HANA Cloud Integration.